Have you ever stopped to think about why some people seem to have everything under control while you constantly feel insecure, doubting your choices, waiting for external validation to be sure you're on the right path? Here's a truth no one tells you. That insecurity you try so hard to hide, disguise, or eliminate may be exactly the fuel you need to build a life of real purpose and unwavering resilience. Sounds contradictory? The Stoics, those ancient philosophers who faced wars, exile, slavery, and yet maintained inner peace, discovered something revolutionary. It's not the absence of fear or doubt that makes you strong, but what you do with those feelings. The difference between those paralyzed by insecurity and those who transform it into strength lies in a series of simple but profoundly transformative practices that go far beyond empty motivational phrases. The problem is that we spend our entire lives trying to get rid of insecurity as if it were a disease, when in reality it may be a sign that you haven't yet developed the right foundations: control over what really matters, self-discipline to act even when afraid, consistency to build confidence through real evidence. You seek immediate gratification on social media, constant validation from others, and when you don't receive it, insecurity only increases. It's a vicious cycle that keeps you hostage to external circumstances and the opinions of others. But what if there was a different path? What if, instead of trying to eliminate insecurity, you learned to use it as a compass, as a sign of where you need to build inner strength? The Stoics had practical answers for this, not abstract theories, but concrete tools that have worked for over 2,000 years. In this guide, you'll discover 10 Stoic principles that will turn your relationship with insecurity upside down. It's not about faking confidence or deluding yourself with positive thinking. It's about building real foundations of personal responsibility, virtue, and resilience that no one can take away from you. Prepare to question everything you've been taught about strength, success, and inner security. What follows may be uncomfortable, but it promises something worth far more than temporary comfort: true freedom. 1. Find your purpose. Do you know that feeling of always running, but without really knowing where you're going? It's like being in a powerful car, accelerating at full speed, but without a clear destination on the GPS. Discovering your purpose isn't about having a mystical epiphany at a spiritual retreat. It's about stopping, breathing, and honestly asking yourself, what really matters to me? The Stoics believe that living with purpose means aligning your daily actions with your deepest values, as if each decision were a small compass pointing to the true north of your existence. And here's the key. When you know where you're going, it becomes much easier to say no to distractions and yes to what truly builds the life you want. It's about taking responsibility for yourself, about taking control of your path. Now, let's agree on something. Nobody wakes up one day knowing exactly what their cosmic purpose is, and that's okay. The truth is that this search requires self-discipline and consistency. It's a daily work of reflection, adjustments, and realignment. Think about it this way. If you don't set aside a few minutes each day to check if your actions are connected to what you say you value, you'll end up living on autopilot, reacting to external demands instead of acting with intention. The Stoics practiced morning and evening reflection precisely for this reason, to maintain this fine-tuned alignment between intention and action. And look, when you start living in alignment with your purpose, something interesting happens. That insecurity about doing the right thing begins to diminish because you have clarity. You don't need constant external validation when your internal compass is calibrated. The trick here isn't finding a grand purpose that will change the whole world overnight. In fact, that pressure can be detrimental. Your purpose might be creating genuine connections, developing your creativity, being a present father, or mastering a craft. What matters is that it's authentic to you and guides your practical choices. When you identify this deeper calling, you develop a kind of natural filter. Opportunities that don't serve you become easier to refuse, and those that truly matter capture all your energy. It's also a matter of resilience. When difficult days come, and they always do, having clarity about your purpose gives you a reason to keep going. It's like having an anchor in the middle of a storm. The waves come, but you know where you're planted and why. 2. Rely on yourself. There's a somewhat uncomfortable truth we need to face. Ultimately, you're the only person you can count on 100% of the time. This isn't cynicism or pessimism. It's simply acknowledging reality as it is. The Stoics weren't preaching that you should become a hermit isolated on a mountaintop. but rather that the ultimate responsibility for your life, your choices, and your growth lies within you, not in the hands of others. It's about building a solid foundation of self-sufficiency, where you develop confidence in your own abilities through reason and virtue. When you truly understand this, something powerful happens. You stop waiting for someone to come and save you, validate you, or give you permission to be who you are. Control returns to your hands, where it should always have been. Now, let's be clear about what this doesn't mean. It's not about arrogance or thinking you know everything and don't need anyone. On the contrary, it's about having the humility to recognize that, although people can support you, advise you, and walk alongside you, they can't do the inner work for you. No one can have self-discipline for you. No one can make your difficult decisions in your place. No one can build your daily consistency. That's your task, and when you embrace this truth, instead of running from it, you develop genuine autonomy. You begin to filter out external noise, unsolicited opinions, others' expectations, social pressures that don't align with your values. It's liberating to realize that you don't need constant approval to move forward, that your gratification doesn't depend on likes, praise, or external recognition. Insecurity, curiously, often stems from placing too much security in the wrong things, in the approval of others, in external circumstances, in luck. When you build this Stoic self-sufficiency, you are creating an inner fortress that no one can break down. It doesn't matter if the world outside is chaotic, if people disappoint you, or if plans change, you have a firm foundation within you. This doesn't mean you won't feel fear or doubt. It means you won't let those feelings paralyze you, because you know you have the internal resources to deal with anything. It's about cultivating resilience through the daily practice of trusting yourself, honoring your commitments to yourself, and maintaining personal integrity even when no one is watching. In the end, this is the only real form of security that exists, and it comes from within, not from without. 3. Show up every day. Do you know the difference between those who achieve what they want and those who only dream? It's not talent, luck, or some magic secret. It's simply showing up every single day. Sounds too simple to be true, right? But consistency is the most underrated superpower there is. The Stoics understood this deeply. It's not grand, sporadic gestures that build a life of purpose and virtue, but rather small actions repeated day after day, without fail, without excuses. Think of it this way. It's better to write 1 page a day for a year than to try to write an entire book in a weekend of inspiration. Discipline isn't built in moments of enthusiasm. It's forged precisely on the days when you don't feel like it, when the bed is warm, when 1,000 excuses seem perfectly reasonable. That's when the real game happens. Every day is a new opportunity to demonstrate commitment to your principles, and it doesn't have to be heroic or impressive. It can be as simple as honoring that promise you made to yourself to read 10 pages before bed, to take that 15-minute walk, to have that difficult conversation you've been putting off. The size of the action matters much less than its regularity. It's like building a muscle. You don't get strong by lifting a gigantic weight once. You get strong by lifting progressively heavier weights, repeatedly with consistency. The same applies to willpower, self-discipline, any habit you want to develop. And here's the secret that few realize. Every time you show up, even when it's difficult, you're voting for the person you want to become. Each small victory accumulates, building a stronger and more resilient identity. The practice of being present in the now, of doing today's work without getting lost in tomorrow's worries or yesterday's regrets, is pure applied stoicism. It's not about perfection. You will fail, you will have bad days, you will stumble. The question is, will you show up the next day anyway? That's where true gratification lies, not in the brilliant end result, but in the process of showing yourself that you have control over your actions. Some people wait for the perfect moment, divine inspiration, the ideal planetary conjunction. Meanwhile, life passes them by. The Stoics would say, the perfect moment is now, the work that matters is today's work, and the only person who can make it happen is you. Showing up every day isn't glamorous. It won't give you instant validation on social media, but it will build something much more valuable. A life of integrity and purpose, brick by brick. 4. Embrace voluntary discomfort. Here's an idea that might sound strange at first. Purposefully choosing uncomfortable things is one of the most powerful practices you can adopt. No, we're not talking about masochism or self-punishment, far from it. The Stoics had a fascinating concept called voluntary discomfort, which basically means intentionally exposing yourself to small difficulties to strengthen your mental resilience. Think of it as training for life. If you only lift light weights at the gym, when you need to lift something really heavy, you'll suffer. The same goes for your character and willpower. When you practice discomfort in controllable doses, whether it's taking a cold shower, fasting for a few hours, sleeping on the floor one night, or giving up some temporary pleasure, you are literally expanding your capacity to deal with adversity. And look, life will throw adversity at you whether you like it or not. It's better to be prepared, right? The interesting thing is that this practice also cultivates gratitude in a way that no motivational speech can. When you spend an entire day without using your cell phone, for example, you begin to value technology again without being enslaved by it. When you try sleeping without a pillow or deliberately eating a simple meal, you gain a completely new perspective on how much you already have. The Stoics weren't ascetics who rejected all pleasure. They simply understood that developing control over your desires makes you genuinely free. It's easy to be grateful when things are going well. The trick is to maintain that gratitude even when the wind changes. And more, these small practices connect you with the reality of millions of people who have no choice, who live with this discomfort daily. This isn't abstract philosophical theory, it's practical empathy. It's expanding your consciousness beyond your comfortable bubble. But let's be honest, there's no need to overdo it. We're not suggesting you sell everything and move into a Tibetan monastery, unless you want to, of course. Start small, be consistent. It can be something as simple as not turning on the air conditioning on a hot day, walking instead of taking a taxi, or staying silent for an hour when you would normally fill that time with podcasts and music. The secret isn't in the grand gesture, but in the regularity of the practice. Each small voluntary discomfort is like a deposit in your resilience bank account. When the real storm comes, and it always does, you'll have reserves to withdraw. And there's an interesting bonus. The more you practice this, the less power external circumstances have over you. That insecurity of, will I be able to handle this? Naturally diminishes because you've already proven to yourself repeatedly that you can. It's a practical and tangible way to build true confidence, based on real evidence of what you are capable of enduring. 5. Dichotomy of control. Let's get straight to the point. You're wasting energy on things you can't control, and it's driving you crazy. The dichotomy of control is probably the most powerful concept in Stoicism, and also the most liberating when you truly understand it. It works like this. There are things that are under your control, your actions, your reactions, your judgments, your efforts, and there are things that are not, the weather, other people's opinions, final results, global events, traffic, the economy, practically everything out there. The key is to focus your energy exclusively on the first group and accept the second with tranquility. It seems obvious when you read it, but in practice most people do the exact opposite. They spend the whole day worrying about things outside their control and neglecting what they can actually change. It's like trying to control the ocean instead of learning to navigate it. Think about how many hours you've wasted dwelling on what so-and-so said, or worrying about whether that project will succeed, or hoping for better weather on the weekend. Now imagine if all that energy were redirected to what you can do. Prepare better, act virtuously, respond wisely, uphold your principles. The difference is stark. The Stoics understood that anxiety arises precisely when we try to control the uncontrollable. It's like pushing a wall, you only get tired and frustrated. When you accept this fundamental distinction, something magical happens. You become free. You become free from the need for approval, free from worrying about results, free from anger at things that don't depend on you. And this liberation is not passive resignation. On the contrary, it's a more constructive engagement with life, because you are investing where it truly makes a difference. Here's the part many people confuse. Accepting what you can't control doesn't mean not caring or giving up. It means doing your best in what is within your control and then letting go of the rest with serenity. True gratification comes from virtuous effort, not the final result. You can control whether you study diligently for the test, but you can't control whether the teacher will ask fair questions. You can control whether you treat people with respect, but you can't control whether they will respect you back. You can control your self-discipline and consistency, but you can't control when recognition will arrive. And you know what happens when you internalize this? That constant insecurity about what if it goes wrong loses its power because you understand that the only real wrong would be betraying your own values. Everything else is external circumstances, and circumstances change. But your personal responsibility, your character, your choices, no one can take that away from you. That's where your true control lies, and it's enough. 6. Never be the victim. Look, life isn't fair. Bad things happen to good people, plans fail, people disappoint you, opportunities slip away. You can keep lamenting these injustices, and look, it's completely human to feel pain, anger, frustration, or you can choose a different stance. Shift your focus from what happened to you to how you will respond to what happened. This change of perspective is revolutionary. The Stoics had a powerful maxim: the obstacle is the path. Every difficulty that arises is not a detour from your personal growth. It is literally an opportunity to grow. It is in moments of adversity that you practice virtue, strengthen character, and discover what you are made of. Dwelling on how things should be different, on who wronged you, on how you were treated unfairly. This only keeps you stuck in the past and robs you of power in the present. And let's face it, victimhood is comfortable. It gives you a ready-made excuse for inaction, but it keeps you hostage to circumstances. Never being a victim doesn't mean denying that bad things happened or pretending everything is okay when it's not. It's not about suppressing emotions or developing an insensitive shell. It's about acknowledging reality. Yes, it happened. Yes, it hurts. Yes, it's unfair, and still choosing to act, choosing to move forward, choosing to grow through it. It's a stance of radical responsibility. You may not have control over what happens, but you have total control over what to do from here. Some people spend years blaming their parents, the system, luck, circumstances, and meanwhile, life goes by. The validation you seek in the role of victim will never be enough, because deep down you know you're giving up your power. When you take control of the narrative of your own life, something fascinating happens. You become the protagonist, not a secondary character reacting to someone else's script. The Stoics would say that every obstacle is fuel, raw material for forging resilience and wisdom. Think of Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, writing his meditations amidst wars, plagues, and betrayals. He had every reason in the world to feel like a victim of circumstances, but he chose to philosophize about how to respond virtuously. This stance transforms feelings of powerlessness into moments of choice and personal agency. You may not control the storm, but you can control how you navigate it. You may not control betrayal, but you can control whether you let it embitter you or strengthen you. And here's the uncomfortable truth. While you cling to the role of victim, you are giving external circumstances and the actions of others power over your inner peace. When you let go of that, when you choose responsibility instead of victimhood, you regain something precious, your inner freedom. Is it difficult? Absolutely. Is it worth it? Absolutely. 7. Deferred bonus. We live in an age of instant gratification. Food delivered in minutes, entire series available at once, immediate replies to messages, likes, and validation in real time. And look, there's nothing wrong with convenience. The problem is when you completely lose the ability to wait, to postpone, to choose the greater and more lasting benefit instead of immediate and fleeting pleasure. Delayed gratification isn't about denying your desires or living an ascetic and miserable life. It's about mastering your impulses instead of being mastered by them. It's about consciously choosing, using reason and foresight instead of reacting automatically to every momentary whim. The Stoics understood that true freedom isn't doing what you want at any given moment. That's slavery to your impulses. Real freedom is having enough control to do what's best for you in the long run, even when the short term is trying to seduce you. Think of it this way. Every time you choose to study instead of scrolling on your phone, you're voting for a future version of yourself that will have more knowledge and opportunities. Every time you save instead of spending impulsively, you're building financial security and options. Every time you maintain the self-discipline to go to the gym even when you don't feel like it, you're investing in health and energy for decades to come. These are small choices, seemingly insignificant at the moment, but they accumulate exponentially. The marshmallow test, that famous experiment with children, showed something fascinating. Children who could wait to receive 2 marshmallows instead of eating one immediately had better results in adulthood, better grades, more stable relationships, more professional success. Why? Because the ability to delay gratification is the basis of consistency, resilience, and long-term purpose. Now, let's be honest. This is incredibly difficult, especially at first. Your brain is programmed to prefer immediate rewards. It's a matter of evolutionary survival. But here's the good news. It's a skill that can be trained, like a muscle. Start small. Wait 5 minutes before eating that dessert. Finish that boring task before opening social media. Put that purchase in your cart for 24 hours before finalizing it. Each small victory strengthens your ability to choose the long term over the immediate. And there's an interesting side benefit. When you practice restraint regularly, that insecurity about whether you have enough willpower disappears because you have concrete evidence that you do. You don't need external validation to confirm your discipline. You demonstrate it to yourself every day. It's about cultivating lasting tranquility instead of fleeting excitement, building a solid life instead of collecting ephemeral moments. 8. Ignore the pessimists. There's always that one person, right? You share a dream, a project, an idea that excites you, and then they come along with a bucket of cold water. That won't work. You don't have enough experience. They've tried that before and it failed. Be more realistic. And look, sometimes these people even think they're helping you, protecting you from possible disappointment. But here's the truth. External approval is completely out of your control and cannot be your source of validation or confidence. The Stoics were categorical about this. Stand firm in your convictions even in the face of others' doubts and skepticism. This isn't about arrogance or ignoring legitimate feedback. It's about developing a personal philosophy robust enough to withstand external pressures. It's about distinguishing constructive criticism from people who want your growth from gratuitous negativity from people who project their own limitations and fears onto you. The question is, why are people pessimistic? Sometimes it's genuine fear for you, but often it's projection. That person who never dared to take a risk doesn't want to see you taking risks and succeeding. That would challenge their narrative of impossibilities. That person who gave up on their own dreams will unconsciously try to convince you to give up on yours too, because your persistence is an uncomfortable mirror. It's not necessarily malice, it's human nature. But understanding this gives you responsibility. You can let these external voices dictate your path, or you can cultivate control over where you invest your emotional energy. The Stoics fiercely protected their mental space, consciously choosing which opinions deserved consideration and which were just noise. And this liberates, because you stop living on the emotional roller coaster of depending on constant applause and approval. Now, there's a delicate balance here. You don't want to become so stubborn that you ignore real signs that you might need to adjust course. The virtue lies in discernment. Ask yourself, is this person bringing concrete data, relevant experience, genuine concern based on something specific? Or are they just throwing generic doubts into the air? Someone who says, "Have you thought about how you're going to finance this in the first 6 months?" is helping you plan better. Someone who says, "People like you can't do these things," is projecting limitations. The difference is clear when you pay attention. And here's the key. The more you build self-discipline, consistency, and a clear purpose, the less other people's opinions shake you. Not because you've become arrogant or deaf, but because you have a reliable internal compass. That insecurity that sought external confirmation all the time naturally diminishes when you prove to yourself, day after day, that you are committed. In the end, the best answer to pessimists isn't words. It's results built with silent resilience. 9. Emulate wise individuals. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. Seriously, you don't. There are people living, dead, even fictional, who have already walked similar paths to yours and developed the virtues you aspire to cultivate. Why not learn from them? The Stoics were great advocates of having role models, not to blindly copy, but to internalize principles and strengths through practical examples. Marcus Aurelius constantly reflected on the qualities of the people he admired: the patience of one, the integrity of another, the resilience of a third. He wasn't trying to become those people, but he was consciously absorbing the characteristics he wanted to develop in himself. It's like having invisible mentors guiding your choices. When you face a difficult decision, you can ask yourself, how would so-and-so react in this situation? This takes you out of emotional autopilot and puts you in a space of more conscious and deliberate choice. The trick here is to choose your role models wisely. Seek out individuals whose values genuinely align with your aspirations, not with what's popular or impressive on social media. It could be an author who demonstrates admirable self-discipline in their daily writing, an athlete who shows extraordinary resilience in the face of injury, a historical leader who maintained principles in difficult times, or even a fictional character who embodies virtues you admire. It doesn't matter if the person is contemporary or lived 2,000 years ago. What matters is that they represent something you want to cultivate. And here's an important detail. You don't need to agree with everything that person did or said. Nobody is perfect. Everyone has flaws. The goal is to extract the best, the specific lessons of control, purpose, consistency, and virtue they have to offer, and leave the rest aside. Something powerful happens when you study the lives of wise people. You realize they also faced insecurity, doubt, and failure. The difference lies in how they responded to these adversities. Seneca was rich but regularly practiced voluntary poverty to avoid becoming a slave to comfort. Epictetus was literally a slave who became one of the greatest philosophers, demonstrating that external circumstances do not define character. Viktor Frankl found purpose and meaning in a Nazi concentration camp. These stories aren't meant to make you feel small. They're meant to show you what's possible when you cultivate inner strength and personal responsibility. When you internalize these examples, you develop a mental library of references for difficult times. And there's a bonus. By observing how these people dealt with lack of validation, criticism, and enormous obstacles, you gain perspective on your own challenges. That crisis that seemed devastating becomes more manageable when you remember that others navigated even worse storms with grace and gratification in their own growth. 10. Daily review. Socrates said that an unexamined life is not worth living, and the Stoics took this very seriously. Daily review is probably the most underrated and most powerful practice you can adopt. It works like this. At the end of each day, you set aside a few minutes. It could be before bed, it could be in the shower, it could be wherever works best for you, and reflectively examine your thoughts, actions, and responses. It's not about destructive self-criticism or dwelling on mistakes. It's about honestly observing how you behaved and checking if it was aligned with your values and principles. Simple questions work. Did I act according to my principles today? Where did I lose control? Where did I demonstrate virtue? What could I have done better? This practice develops self-awareness in a way that no course or book can, because you are literally training the ability to observe yourself clearly and honestly. The Stoics had a specific method for this. Seneca recommended reviewing throughout the day as if you were a kind and curious judge, not a relentless prosecutor. Marcus Aurelius wrote his reflections daily. The meditations we read today were originally his personal review journal. Epictetus suggested asking yourself 3 things. What did I do wrong? What did I do? What duty did I fail to fulfill? Seems simple, but it's profoundly transformative when you do it consistently. Why? Because most people live on autopilot, reacting to situations without stopping to think if those reactions are aligned with who they want to be. Daily review breaks this cycle. It creates a space of awareness where you can adjust course, learn from stumbles, celebrate small victories, and strengthen your self-discipline for tomorrow. It's like having a GPS that constantly recalculates the route, keeping you on the right track. And look, it doesn't have to be a long and elaborate process. 5 minutes already make a huge difference if they are 5 honest minutes. What matters is consistency, showing up every day for that encounter with yourself. Over time, you start to notice patterns. I always lose my temper in these kinds of situations. I'm more resilient when I sleep well. My insecurity skyrockets when I seek external validation. These insights are pure gold because they give you responsibility and control over areas of your life that previously seemed random. You stop being a hostage to automatic reactions and start acting with more intention. And there's a wonderful side effect. This daily practice of honesty with yourself builds integrity in a profound way. You can't fool yourself when you're truly paying attention. You can't pretend you're living with purpose if the review shows dispersion. You can't ignore behaviors that betray your values. This clarity, although sometimes uncomfortable, is what allows you to live a more deliberate, more aligned, more fulfilling life in the deepest sense of the word. So, after everything we've discussed here, the question remains, What are you going to do with this? Because look, reading about stoicism, about discipline, about control and purpose is one thing. Applying it to everyday life, when life gets tough, when insecurity knocks on the door, when nobody's watching, is something completely different. Are you going to keep waiting for circumstances to change, for someone to give you permission to be who you want to be, for external validation to finally arrive and solve everything? Or are you going to take radical responsibility for building your own inner fortress, brick by brick, choice by choice, day after day? The inconvenient truth is that nobody is going to do this work for you. Nobody is going to give you self-discipline as a gift. Nobody is going to implant consistency into your routine while you sleep. Nobody is going to cultivate resilience in your place. But here's the good news. You don't have to do it all at once. You don't have to wake up tomorrow as a perfect Stoic sage with decades of practice. You just have to start. Choose one of these practices, maybe daily review, maybe showing up every day at something that matters, maybe embracing a little voluntary discomfort, and do it for a week. See what happens. Notice how your relationship with insecurity begins to change when you stop running from it and start using it as fuel. Notice how the need for immediate gratification diminishes when you practice delayed gratification. Notice how other people's opinions lose power when you build confidence based on real evidence from your own actions. This is the secret the Stoics would tell you. True transformation doesn't come from a brilliant insight. It comes from repeated practice until the extraordinary becomes ordinary. Look, if you've made it this far, something resonated with you, right? So don't let this die as just another piece of content you consume and forget. Write down a concrete action you're going to take today, not tomorrow. It can be small, it can be simple, but it has to be real. And if you want to continue on this journey of building a life with more purpose, control, and virtue, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Not because I need numbers, but because you deserve constant reminders that there's another path beyond chronic anxiety, the desperate search for validation, and the feeling of always being adrift. Let's build this inner fortress together, one video, one practice, one choice at a time. Insecurity won't magically disappear, but you can learn to dance with it instead of being trampled by it. And that, my friend, changes everything.